little bit, make it happy. Yeah, jam it out. A little salsa here.
Little dance, make fun tonight.
Down tonight.
Da-da-da.
Exactly.
Do a little dance, making a little love. Get down tonight.
Go, Miguel.
Creak, creak. Creak, creak.
All right, everybody, we're going to have fun today. Hi.
Hello.
We are live. We're actually live on nine different places.
Wow.
8 or 9, I can't count them. 8 or 9 different places. So we're live on the Celebrate Your Life YouTube channel. We're live on the Celebrate Your Life Facebook page,
Wow.
in one of our groups, on my personal page, on your page, on everywhere. We're live we're live.
Yay.
Okay, so if you're there, say hi to us. We're here with Miguel Ruiz Jr. Say hi to us. We can see your comments.
Hola, how are you?
The fabulous Miguel Ruiz Jr., son of Don Miguel Ruiz Sr.,
Mm-hmm. Yep,
author of the 4 Agreements and author of
Mastery of Life.
The Mastery of Life. Okay, what is the subtitle?
Wow.
You don't remember? Okay, hold on a second. I love that. You just write it.
I
Okay?
usually see the Mastery of Life and I go look at the cover because I think it's beautiful.
It's the Toltec Guide to Personal Freedom. Toltec Guide to
As you started saying it, I remembered.
The Toltec, that's the name of your book. You wrote it, right?
Yes, I wrote it.
Yes. Hello, everybody. We are seeing you here. Oh, there's Marge from the Philippines. So on the right-hand side of your screen, Miguel, you should have like a little row that says comments, and you can click on the comments and you can see it. Are you on a computer or a phone?
I'm on the iPad.
Okay, you should be able to see the comments. From France, Sophie from France, and Anita from Colombia, and Spike from Harwich, Massachusetts. I love it. And hola, Ivan.
I'm going to have to live vicariously through you because I used the YouTube channel link.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes.
We've got Maria from Florida and Rachel from Connecticut and
Nice.
Dewey from Riviera Maya. Isn't that
La
sound
Riviera
good?
Maya. Yes.
Riviera Maya. My Espanol is, my assistant is fluid, and I'm learning to be fluid.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's the thing with between Spanish and English, we have to go flip it. So sometimes that takes, makes it dance in a different way. Yes.
Right.
Gotta be flexible.
English.
Yes.
So everybody, I'm Liz Dawn, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Celebrate Your Life Events. We have been around for 27 years. And
Congratulations.
okay, so here's a little trivia. So we've been around for 27 years, and we are the longest standing spiritual live event creators and production company.
Nice.
And the only female. No, wait, the longest standing female, I should say. I'm not the only female in the industry who does this, but one of the only females who does it. Yay for girls!
Bravo. Bravo.
Okay, and we've got the fabulous best-selling author, the amazing teacher, Toltec Teachings, Miguel Ruiz Jr.
Hello. Hola. ¿Cómo están?
Okay, so let's talk. Let's chat. We see all of you. Karine from Switzerland, Rachel, Bernadette, Dan Esiri from Logos, from Randy from Santa Cruz, from so we see all of you. Susan Woodford, fabulous. Saludos de Tijuana, Mexico.
Eso, arriba Tijuana.
Sí, Rolando Alonso. See, I've got a good accent, right?
Yes, very good.
I'm learning.
Yeah, I was born and raised in San Diego, and I went to school in Tijuana. I used to also live in Jardines del Rubí in Tijuana. I went to school en El Mentor Mexicano en la Preparatoria Federal Lázaro Cárdenas, parte del Bachillerato Internacional. And then I went to the States. So I was one of those rare kids that I lived in San Diego, and I also lived briefly in Tijuana, of course, but I lived in San Diego, but I crossed the border into Tijuana to go to school in Tijuana. So that's why my accent's the way it is.
Your accent's, it's perfect. It's
Thanks.
beautiful. But you have a really good accent when you speak Spanish.
Depends. If I start talking si empiezo a hablar en tijuanero, es un poquito más rápido. If I start speaking my Tijuana accent, I'm going a little bit more faster and a little bit more of that. Órale, ¿cómo están?
Despacito.
I have to slow it down. Slow it down.
Sí.
Yeah, my grandma used to say, "What does he say? What does he say? What does he say?"
I know, I can't understand it.
Yes.
Even if you were speaking English that fast, I would be
yeah.
Tu casa hermano, Rolanda Alonso. See. Okay, so let's talk about your latest book is The Mastery of Life.
Yes.
And you're also going to be a featured speaker at our fabulous Celebrate Your Life conference coming up.
It's an honor. Thank you.
So excited, you guys. We'll talk about the conference in a few minutes. But what I really want to talk about is, Margie's saying she's got the 4 agreements, the 5th agreement, and Mastery of Life. He's one of my favorite authors. Yay!
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What a blessing. And I have to say that you are one of my favorite people to work with, because you and, of course, your dad and your brother Jose just walk into a space and it's like there's this massive vibration of love.
Oh, thank you. You're very kind.
It's true. And you walk in and everybody's hugging and you're just in this space of divine love just emanates from all of you.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor. It's just, we enjoy what we do. We love the opportunity to share this tradition with other people. You know, when people say I'm walking in my father's shoes, I'm actually saying, no, I'm walking in my grandmother's dream. This is her dream, to share the family tradition with everyone. So at a certain point, my grandmother, Madre Sarita, is the spiritual head of our family, even though she passed away 14 years ago. She is still that heart and soul that brings our life. So we know where we come from, and it's her heart, and we share it with so much faith because she had faith. And my father shared it, and he went from that journey of being her apprentice and go from Dr. Miguel Ruiz to Don Miguel Ruiz. And then I was her apprentice. So one of the things she always taught me is to say the things I share with so much heart, but confidence. If you don't know something, don't talk about it. Don't pretend that you know it. Talk about only thing you know, because that's where faith, or that seed of faith, starts. So we share our love because, one, we're happy to be alive. We have the opportunity, and we know that, my great-grandfather, Don Leonardo and Don Ezequiel, my grandmother's father and grandfather, didn't have this chance. So we are grateful and humbled by the experience that we do have the opportunity. So we are happy to be alive and to do the things that we love to do. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to share that.
I love the lineage. I love the Toltec lineage of what each generation and what you're imparting to every generation. What do you think are some of the top 3 or top 5, whatever you want to share, teachings that she actually started with? Like, when you think about your grandmother, what is the first few things that come to your mind in terms of sharing with the world?
Faith, love. My grandmother was a very small woman with such a strong, big faith that she was larger than life. She was inducted into the San Diego Women's Hall of Fame because she kept this tradition alive. And she was this spitfire of a woman that just would not stop. She wanted to do something. She created it. She manifested it. So, for example, the mastery of life, the mastery of self, the mastery of love, my father's book and my books. When we talk about mastery, we're not talking about dominion over something, power over something, subjugating something. It comes from practice makes the master. For example, let's say you read a cookbook. If you read a cookbook and you read all the instructions, but don't follow any of it, you'll never know what the meal will taste like. The only way you know what that meal, outside of the picture or eating at a restaurant, but when you make it yourself, is if you follow each and every one of those steps. That's all you have to do. There's cookbooks that we might have that it's been sitting on the shelf and we never applied that recipe. You read it, but you never applied it, which means you never tasted that meal. So the only way to taste it is if you actually follow each one of these steps. Now, the first time you do it, you might get it right or you may not get it right. Otherwise, you did it. It was great or it wasn't. It doesn't matter. You did it. Now, here's the thing. Once you taste it and you like, it needs this, it needs that. So every time you practice playing that recipe, you get better. You know, you can say from insecurity and unknowing comes confidence. I am confident that I can follow each one of these steps and create this meal that I will enjoy and my family, the people around me will enjoy. But there's always room to evolve. And that evolution comes with putting it into practice every time, changing it here and there. And that's what repetition does, gains confidence. But it reached to the point where eventually it becomes trust. I trust myself to do this meal. You can see it's the moment where you actually don't crack open the book. I trust myself that I know it, that I don't have to open it up. It's kind of like if you practice yoga, and the first time you practice yoga, you're cranking your neck, trying to look at what the yogi is doing, even though you're in downward dog and your head's cranked all the way over.
That would be me.
And that's what it is. It's like at first you don't know it, but you're looking and following what the yogi is doing. That eventually, what ends up happening is little by little, you stop cranking your head and keep your head where it's supposed to be, which is a place that you're comfortable with. That's the equivalent. So when you go from confidence, you go to trust. I trust myself to make this recipe. I trust myself to get into that yoga move. And the more you practice it, the more it gets to the point where all of a sudden one day, for example, in yoga, all of a sudden you hear what the yogi says, but you already know how to do it, that you, for the first time, breathe with the movement. It's like all of a sudden you were in your head the whole time. Then eventually you allow yourself to breathe. And also, like, there's where yoga starts really happening. When you're cooking, it's the moment where, for example, I lived in Rockland, California, and in the Sacramento area. And I had this recipe that I was pretty good in the sense that my wife and my kids loved it. So that's a winner. You know, I kept it. We moved to Reno, Nevada. Here, something changed, which is altitude, you know, from almost at 400 feet to about 5,000 feet. So the first time I made that recipe, something did not go right because all of a sudden the boiling and the temperature changed. All of a sudden there was an ingredient that I didn't know I was playing with because I was so used to where I was at, that, you know, if I didn't have confidence or trust, I would be like, what's wrong? Again, you get flustered, you start to doubt yourself. But if you allow it to follow through and flow with the changes, confidence turns into trust, and trust turns into faith. I know I can do this 100%. You know, faith is believing in something 100% without any doubt. That's what faith is. So when you have that faith in yourself to be able to do this, you know, just like you have faith in saying a prayer, you have faith in being able to breathe when you're doing yoga. I have faith in myself to adapt to the changes that in this recipe that I'm so used to. Now there's a variant that changed the whole thing, and the sauce is ready way before the pasta is because the water's still not boiling. You adapt, you play with it, and you adapt, and that's where faith comes in. My grandmother always taught us that faith, I'm not the one healing, she would say, it's God that's healing through me, but I have complete faith that that is what's happening. You know, the thing about faith healing, you know, it's like on a tangent.
That's okay. We like the tangent, don't we, guys? Say yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. Someone asked me a question in my father's book, The Four Agreements. He had an issue with, if you tell someone he's going to have cancer, in 1 year he'll have cancer. How is that possible? Well, I said, well, do you believe in the placebo effect? Yes. Okay, imagine the placebo effect and the opposite. When you say something and you believe it, you make it so. You can say in faith healing, it's the placebo effect in action. It's kind of like you take the sugar pill and you feel like it's healing you. As you're putting your faith in the medication, you're putting your faith in the nurse and the doctor or the naturopath or the chiropractor or the person that you're using to help you heal. The placebo effect can affect you in a positive way, saying, I'm going to heal myself. And it can also work in the opposite way. And I'm not going to get sick. It's what we know as a curse. And those belief systems that says, I'll curse you, and you believe the curse of the bambino, the curse of the billy goat, using sports analogies. You can feel it when all of a sudden you believe maybe that curse is true, and you start feeling and doubt comes in. I remember watching that Cubs game where they were winning, they're about to go to the next level, and someone grabs it from the stands, and all of a sudden the commentator starts talking about it. The people, you can feel it, the curse of the billy goat, and you feel it. All right, that's what a curse is. It's basically the placebo effect in the opposite. Now, what we mean by that, the same energy that I use to move my arms, to move my legs, is the same energy I use to create a thought. And at the root of every belief I have, there's a yes, the power. And yes simply means that it's the moment where I choose to use the energy that animates this body and animates this mind to manifest something. It's intent, it's life, it's faith.
And that begins with your thoughts.
Exactly. So
absolutely.
It starts with, how much do you believe? To be impeccable with the word. If every word is an empty symbol whose definition is subject to agreement, that they mean something because we said yes to it, then let me change it to be impeccable with your intent, because it's your intent that gives it power. And you can say that we became masters of our conditioning, masters of our conditional love or domestication, and we have the power to change that and use our words as an ally to heal us. And we become masters of self, of life, of love. So from that point of view, my grandmother's teaching there was, I have faith that you will heal yourself. And that's what she shared. She was the vessel, just like that sugar pill that the patient believes, this pill is going to make me feel better. I know that I am the same for the patient who sees me. And all of a sudden, the teachings that my father, myself, my brother, is we know that we're not the ones healing. It's the individual that resonates with what we say, the lessons, the teachings, and they're healing themselves because we were the excuse. We were the sugar pill. You could say the placebo effect. But it was really them that gave themselves permission to heal, which all of a sudden dawned on me. We heal with our own permission. Usually, there's an expression that my brother says, Don Jose Luis Ruiz. In the Toltec tradition, there's nothing to learn but to unlearn. So to me, what should we unlearn? Anything that stops us from healing, everything that no longer doesn't give us permission to heal, because that's the block, that's the hurdle. If you eliminate that or move it, or you forgive yourself for ever saying yes to that hurdle, your healing, and not just healing, your intent becomes more powerful. So it's kind of like going back to that cookbook. I have faith in myself that I know I can use these words to create something that's going to nurture myself and my family and make it taste good.
Absolutely. Wow. That was a mic drop. Don't you agree, you guys? It was a total mic drop. There's tons of comments coming in, but there's something that you said, and Jenja, you repeated it here in the comments, is use our words as an ally. Impeccability with your intent, impeccability with your words. Got a couple of questions here from your fan club.
Let me add one more thing. I told this to my dad, and my dad says, that's exactly what I meant. But since you changed the agreement, let me change it one more time. Be impeccable with yourself, because it's you who gives it power.
Oh, be impeccable with yourself. I love that. Okay, so there's a couple of questions I'm going to put up here on the screen. First one is, how do you, Mr. Ruiz, overcome your own self-doubt or negative thoughts?
Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for your question. As a father of a special needs kid, that temptation to doubt myself is always strong because, it's in raising a child with special needs, and my daughter who doesn't have special needs, but she's 15 years old. So there's that thing, I'm raising a boy and a girl. I'm in the thick of it, a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old. There are moments when I look back and I look at my choices and I realize I made that mistake. I made this mistake. I made that. It's so easy to doubt yourself. And all of a sudden you start paying attention and catch yourself when you have said you totally gave in to doubting yourself, to judging yourself, to have those moments. And it's kind of like the moments where you start downward spiraling into judgment, punishing yourself for a judgment or whatever, and you internalize. You use it to condition yourself, to domesticate yourself. It's based, in a certain way. It's when I caught myself and became aware that I was using the four agreements as an instrument of domestication, trying to live up to an image that doesn't exist, which is Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. doesn't exist, but in order to be worthy of love, I have to be perfect. So I will try to live up to this image that doesn't exist. This is what domestication is. And I judge myself for taking things personal. I judge myself for making assumptions. I'm judging myself for all those things. And the telltale sign that you're using the four agreements as an instrument of domestication is judging yourself and realizing at that moment you're corrupting the four agreements and turning it into the four conditions of our personal freedom. We still call them the four agreements, but we're really practicing the four conditions, the corrupted version of the four agreements, the four conditions. I'm calling it the four agreements, but I'm really practicing this. If I become aware of that, I can see that at that moment, my own self-doubts can be used not as a learning experience, but as something that I can use to reinforce whatever judgment is already there. It's kind of like if I create an image of self that has to be perfect, which means to be completely free of any flaw. And I'm supposed to be 27 years old, weigh 170 pounds and have hair like my brother Jose. And if you ever see Jose's hair,
Jose's got like gorgeous hair. I know.
Yeah. But if I look at myself in the mirror, that's just not my truth. I'm 46 years old. I weigh 184 pounds. And this is the truth of my hair. Since I'm not living up to that image, I'm going to castigate myself. I'm going to judge myself. You fat, you bald fat, you old bald fat. If you can relate to this, that's what domestication is. Yeah, and none of it's true. But if you ever look at yourself in the mirror and you judge yourself, that's what domestication is. When you realize you're judging yourself, that you doubt yourself, is because you've given power to that should be. I have to be this in order to be worthy of love. I am using that belief not only to subjugate myself and make myself inferior, less than, but I'm letting it dictate who I'm supposed to be, which means I'm not dreaming my life. I'm not living my life. I am living someone else's projection of me that I'm saying yes to. And I subjugate myself. I lose trust in my own abilities to say yes and no. The key thing is catching myself when I do it. And my telltale sign that I'm doing it is my emotions. Like going back to being a father of a special needs kid, I realized I made that mistake. I made this mistake. If I'd done this, we wouldn't have done that. If I'd done this, he wouldn't have had that escalation. He wouldn't have bit me. He wouldn't have bitten himself or hurt or this. You start having all these what ifs, and that's what anxiety is. Answering the what ifs with all the worst case scenarios, and you begin to doubt yourself. All right. I accept that it happened. There's nothing I can do to go back and change it. And that's where I remember a lesson that someone taught me in Sacramento. He said, forgiveness is the moment you no longer wish the past was any different. You accept it and you let it go. And I love that explanation of what forgiveness is, because to me, it means this. Forgiveness is the moment you no longer wish the past was any different. It's the moment you realize I can go back in the past and change a yes to a no, or no to yes, because life no longer exists in the past. It only exists in my mind, and it probably didn't happen the way we think it happened.
Are you talking about self-forgiveness or forgiveness of another?
In general.
Both. Okay.
Both. Okay. So you can say it's a moment where I realize that I can go back there and change it. It happened. Just like the future doesn't exist yet. It only exists in my imagination with all the what ifs. To accept it and to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my brother Jose has that analogy, a metaphor of a scorpion that's been stinging itself over and over again with its own tail, administering the emotional poison it meant for someone else to itself over and over again. Every time I think about the past, I judge myself. And I can say, as a scorpion, doing that.
That is a perfect pause there for 1 second. Did you all get that? How amazing that analogy is. It's that scorpion constantly poisoning yourself. Beautiful. Okay.
So
did everybody get that? Thumbs up.
Yeah. So accepting it and letting go is basically the moment I no longer will sting myself with the past. That's what accepting and letting go is. I will no longer use the past to hurt me in this present. And that's what forgiveness is. So when you catch yourself doubting yourself, accept it. I, Miguel Ruiz Jr., have doubts. I have anxiety. I have PTSD from being the parent of a special needs child. But here's the thing. I'm not the one going through autism. He is. So my job is to help him. And judging myself and berating myself is not going to help anyone, especially him. I'm going to learn from it. But in order for me to learn from it, I have to stop using it to hurt myself in the present. There's the scorpion again. To accept it and let it go is the moment where I will no longer use my words to go against me. It was the moment where I realized I don't want to practice the 4 conditions. I practice the 4 agreements. And in order for me to start that is to accept myself. I, Miguel Ruiz, do take things personal. I do make assumptions. Sometimes I'm not impeccable with the words. Sometimes I'm not skeptical at all. I'll buy a hook, line, and sinker. And sometimes I don't do my best. Just ask my wife. She is my witness. It is the moment where I stop pretending to be something I am not and accept myself for who I am. This is me. When I can do that and I accept it and I own my actions with its consequences, that it's me who has been saying yes to it all this time, I have a choice. Do I continue on that path or I begin to do the work and I redirect it? You can say it's the moment where I start applying the recipe. And you can say that's where, in Celebrate Your Life, all these wonderful teachers are there to teach you how to let go of that and embrace it and put it into practice. Not just sit there in the lecture, but grab what resonated and apply it. So you can say the way we let go of self-doubt is the moment where I accept it. I have self-doubt. Do I want to keep it? If I say yes, then keep on going. But if I want to let go of it, I begin to apply the recipe to let go.
So I've got questions now. Okay, so I don't know what to do first. I'm all excited. Okay, so actually, because you mentioned, I'm going to hold off on the question, but because you mentioned Celebrate Your Life, we're going to take a 30-second commercial break. I'm going to tell you guys about Celebrate Your Life, okay? All right, so let me just put the banner up here really quickly, and then we're going to go back to the conversation. Because I have questions. And if any of you have questions, make sure and put it in the comments. I'm seeing all of your comments, all of them. They're just beautiful. Okay, so Miguel mentioned Celebrate Your Life. For those of you who've never heard of Celebrate Your Life, it is I don't even know how to explain it. You can't even, it's just this massive love fest where we bring together the greatest spiritual, supportive, loving, open-hearted teachers and best-selling authors, all in one magnificent 3-day event. And we have not done this particular event since 2019. And so now we're doing it again. We've been in business for 27 years, and we're doing it again the end of October. And Miguel, is one of our teachers. This is the first appearance he has made since he wrote his book, Mastery of Life, and the Toltec Teachings to Personal Freedom. So he's going to be teaching all about that. Along with Miguel, we've got Gabby Bernstein, who you all know Gabby Bernstein because she's been on Oprah a gazillion times. Neil Donald Walsh, who wrote the Conversations with God series. World-renowned spiritual medium Lisa Williams is going to be there. Amazing energy healer Emmanuel Dagger is going to be there. Matt Kahn. It's a huge list of spiritual luminaries all there to present workshops and master class sessions. So come and join us. Oh, Kathy, you're going to be there. Wonderful. Yay. You must go. I know, right? Somebody's saying you must go. Go to celebrateyourlife.com /Scottsdale 22, or just go to celebrateyourlife.com. You'll see it on the front page and just click on it and go to the page. But it is one, I mean, I'm biased, but it really is a powerful event because I've been doing this for 27 years and people come from all over the world to join us. And we're just thrilled that we're going to be doing this again. So come join us, visit celebrateyourlife.com. And I want to go back to here we go. There's the comments again. You must go. I love that.
My favorite memory of Celebrate Your Life was in 2004 when my father and my brother were going to speak and do a presentation in the 2004 Celebrate Your Life. And that's actually the day when we found out my son, Miguel Alejandro, was coming. So on our way to Celebrate Your Life, we told my father that he's going to be a grandfather. And
I remember this. That was a long time ago. This is 2004.
Yeah,
and
he gave one of the most spirited lectures he's ever given. He was the extra juice that day.
And I remember that because we were all hugging and crying, and it was just this thrill. It was the first time they ever spoke at the event in 2004. And Miguel Sr., Jose, and Miguel Jr. have been with us for years, and we're so honored and blessed that you're going to be with us this year again at Celebrate Your Life. So wonderful. It is incredible. So come and be with us.
My cheeks are hurting.
I know from smiling, right?
Yeah. Massaging.
It's good. Okay, so let's go back to our conversation. And now, of course, I can't remember the question. Oh, it was about acceptance. So you were talking about acceptance, and you were talking about how in that place of acceptance, that you can say to yourself, okay, so Miguel does this sometimes, and Miguel does that sometimes, and Miguel does that, right? And so does that mean that, do you strive or do you work to shift those things about yourself that maybe you're a little bit uncomfortable with?
You can say that it's the moment you get to know yourself. You can say that accepting, going back to the question about self-doubt, it starts with a moment, the self-doubt makes you not trust your ability to say yes and no to things. It's the thing that stops us from living, and in order to get beyond that, it requires this willingness to look at ourselves. It's not forget about our domesticators or whoever conditioned us or whoever said this or this and that. Who am I? What am I doing? There's that. One of my favorite quotes or phrases is from Eleanor Roosevelt that goes, "No one can make me feel inferior without my consent." Actually, that's not how it goes. It goes, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." But paraphrasing it, no one can make me feel inferior without my consent. No one can domesticate me without my consent. How do I give consent? By believing it, by saying yes to it. Like I said before, there's nothing in my belief system that I said no to because I don't give it power. The only thing is in my belief system are the things I'm saying yes to it because I'm giving it power with this intent. So you can say that getting to know myself is basically getting to see who I really am, flaws and all, accepting myself. This is who I've become, the sum of every decision that I've ever made, but the youngest I will ever be. I'm alive. I'm the infinite possibility because I'm alive. So from that point of view, the willingness to see myself is exactly the thing that allows me to have a moment of clarity. A moment of clarity without any action is just a thought that passes in the wind. But a moment of clarity followed by action becomes a pivotal moment in our life. On a side note, I said that for the very first time in Celebrate Your Life back in 2016. Anyways, but the thing about that is that I stop pretending to be something I am not. It's the moment where I stop pretending to be that 170-pound guy with long hair like Jose and whatever, like, this is me. This is who I am. Change looks different from this point of view. I change because I want to, not because I have to. I change because, Miguel, I love you just the way you are. But if you lose a few pounds, just be healthy. it'll help be good. And all of a sudden, my idea about working out is not about losing weight. It's about, it allows me to do some things that I couldn't do before. No, like I stopped drinking 6 years ago because I have sleep apnea. And I accepted I have sleep apnea. And I was waking up with heart palpitations. And the reason why I was having heart palpitations is because I wasn't breathing. Whenever I had a drink, I would stop breathing. And my heart was trying to compensate the lack of oxygen to my brain by sending all this blood up to it. And the consequence could be a stroke or a heart attack. Neither one, which I want. I don't want either one. So from that point of view, I chose to stop drinking. But it required the willingness to say, I don't want this because I want to live. And that's my motivator. So in that ability to change, not because I have to live up to this image of what a spiritual teacher is, or what a father is, or a husband, or healthy, or whatever. I change because that's what I want to experience. And going back to that question about doubt, I want to have faith in myself. I want to trust myself. And it requires the willingness to start at the very beginning. What do I like? What I don't like? And be honest with myself. I don't like this. I don't like that. What makes me trigger? What are my triggers? What triggers me to take things personal? What triggers me to not be impeccable with the word? What triggers me to have doubt? And I start paying attention. I start being this person that's not looking out there for answers. I'm not looking at these great teachers. I'm going to look in here. Yeah. This is me. And all of a sudden, I will hear all those great teachers from a totally different light. They're basically sharing their story of how they let go of doubt. And I'm learning from that. For example, there's the Elton John movie, which basically is the story of his AA. It's the moment, when you go to Alcoholics Anonymous, everyone tells their sobriety story. Well, that movie is about his sobriety. The moment we realize, I'm done with this. And he was about to go on a concert in Madison Square Garden. He went straight to AA, all dressed up. This is a moment where I realized I don't want to continue on that path. I want to live. I want to be healed. And it's the moment where I stop wishing to no longer have self-doubt. I start by accepting I have self-doubt, and I want to no longer have it. I want faith. I want trust. I want confidence. I want to have faith in myself, confidence in myself, trust in myself. I want to love myself, which is, in essence, what it's all about.
Another mic drop moment. That was beautiful. Absolutely stunning. So we have some questions here. And Rachel Elizabeth has asked, when you say domestication, Rachel Elizabeth is in Connecticut. When you say, and she's going to be at Celebrate Your Life. She is coming to see you.
Hey, thank you.
When you say domestication, what do you mean? Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure, my pleasure. The main problem that the Four Agreements addresses, and I'm using the Four Agreements because that's the flag bearer of the books, is domestication. Domestication is a system of reward and punishment by which we model the behavior of an individual or person. Is the way we shape someone to be what we want them to be, or ourselves. We take it personally. So imagine, in order to be worthy of love, I have to live up to an image. So domestication is a system of reward and punishment where if I live up to an expectation, then I'm worthy of a reward. But since we are emotional beings who experience the full spectrum of our emotions, that reward feels like acceptance, which feels like love. And the punishment for not living up to the expectation feels like rejection, and the lack thereof of love is the way we've learned conditional love. I love you if you live up to this image that I have of you. If you live up to this image, you're worthy of love. You're worthy of acceptance. You are someone in my eyes. But if you don't, then you are someone that I don't respect or reject. Some people prefer the word conditioning because they say, we humans, we don't get domesticated. Animals do. We humans, we don't get domesticated. We get conditioned. But the process is exactly the same. If you a reward and punishment. For example, in order to be worthy of the name Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., I have to live up to the 4 agreements. Don't take things personal. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best. Oh, I forgot the 4th agreement. Oh no! How can I call myself Don Miguel Ruiz Jr.?
Be impeccable with your word.
And there is a downward spiral of a judgment, punishing myself for not living up to this image that I've deemed acceptable or perfect. If I live to it, I'm worthy, but I'm not. And I punish myself. There's the telltale sign that I'm using the 4 agreements as the 4 conditions. I don't have enough time to go into the story to explain, because I have a story that I talk about, the mastery of self, but I'll just give you the cliff notes. My grandmother wants me to eat a bowl of soup, and she says, "Mijo, don't you want this soup? It'll make you big and strong." And she's thinking about nutrition. But at the age of 8, I'm learning how to assert myself. I'm like learning how to say yes and no. And it feels good to say no. And it feels right to say no. It feels powerful to say no. So I said to my grandma, no. And she tries and tries. And I keep saying no, 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 no. And eventually she crosses a line of respect and she says, "Mijo, don't you have anything? Don't you know how many kids don't have anything to eat here in Mexico and around the world? And here you are wasting food." Honey, it's a sin to waste food. For one, I don't want to look like a selfish child in front of my grandmother's eyes, but I don't want to look like a sinner. So I go, "Yes, Grandma, I'll eat the soup." And I begin to eat. And as I finish the bowl, my grandmother comes over and says to me, "That's my good boy. You get the reward. You're a good boy in my eyes." Because I didn't want to tempt fate. I don't want to tempt her seeing me as a sinner. But here's the thing. Ever so innocently, she got me to change my no into a yes, using doubt, to doubt myself. Am I who I am, or am I a sinner? I don't want to be a sinner. I'm going to change my no into a yes. And every moment I subjugated myself, and I used conditioning or domestication to judge myself. Now, here's the thing. Fast forward several years later, I go to a Mexican restaurant and they give me a plate this big of food. And they call it Mexican food, but halfway through, my body tells me the truth. I am full. I'm satisfied. There's no more physical space in my body for more food. I have nurtured this body. But a voice, conscious or subconscious, goes, "It's a sin to waste food." And I answer, conscious or subconscious, "Yes, Grandma." And I continue to eat. And I finished the plate. And I'm so stuffed, you have to roll me out. In that moment of clarity where my body told me the truth, that I'm full, that I'm satisfied, that there's no more physical space, there was a belief, conscious or subconscious, that overruled my no, and I went against myself. And I finished the plate because I had to live up to that image. And here's the thing. My grandmother passed away 14 years ago. She's nowhere around, which means that I began to self-domesticate. And if you look back, our active domesticators or people who conditioned us stopped domesticating us a long time ago. But we're still hearing them in our heads. We still hear those people who judged us or said this or said that. That's because we humans are the only beings that are able to self-domesticate as far as we know.
Yeah.
So my thought would put it.
We walk around with all of these like voices in our heads that don't even belong to us.
Nope. And it's basically us using their voice against us. You know, like I said, if I'm the one who's thinking inside my mind when I'm thinking, if I'm the one who's talking inside my mind when I'm thinking, who's listening? I am. If I'm the one who's listening, who's talking inside my mind? I am. That relationship between my mind and my heart, or left hemisphere or right hemisphere, whichever one analogy works for you better. That inner dialogue.
Right.
You can say that inner dialogue becomes my active domesticator when the voice that talks is subjugating me. And the way it subjugates me is by still making myself believe that I'm inferior to the person who domesticated me. Like that's saying, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And how do we give consent? By believing it. For as long as you believe it, that voice, that's in the voice of the person who said it, will have power for as long as we give it power, for as long as we believe it. It'll stop having power the moment I no longer use it in that way. So you can say domestication or conditioning is this instrument by which I loved myself conditionally. And it started by someone projecting onto me that expectation. And then I internalize it and I run with it in my own life. Put on the clothes you know your friends will make fun of you for. Put on the music that you like, that makes you feel like you're cooler, that you know, but don't admit that you like certain types of music because someone will judge you for it. Admit that you bought it for someone. Now, here's the thing. Subconscious is only there because we've done it so many times, we're no longer thinking about it. It becomes an automatic yes and the automatic no. Yeah. So that's what domestication is. It's just this instrument by which we model ourselves. And usually that model is that image of self, that ego.
Right.
Ego is easier to understand as a concept, as a function rather than a concept. The function of ego is to protect that illusion, which is the model by which we domesticate ourselves. That's what ego does. I have an image, in my case, of Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. If I really let my ego run, I will protect that image by which I domesticate myself. The best way to let go of that image of Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. doesn't exist. I exist. And I do take things personal. I do make assumptions, and I do all the rest. Like they said in Morty, let's go on cartoon. What does it say? Morty and Doc and the Morty, whatever. Anyways, the father says, I know not taking things personal, but I don't know the rest of them. That's the only one I know.
I love it. I love it.
Rick and Morty. It was some
Rick and Morty. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, how many of you have been loving this conversation? Say yes in the comments. I can see all of your comments here. Rick and Morty. That's what somebody's saying.
Yes.
Oh, hi, Barb. Good to see you here. This conversation is so inspiring and so right on. So many people are sharing that it's simply put, yet so powerful. So if you are loving this conversation, come and be with Miguel and all kinds of other teachers. We're going to have another Celebrate Your Life. Actually, not another one. Since the thing that shall not be named has been in existence. This is our first one out the door again to do a Celebrate Your Life conference in Scottsdale. We've got about, 10 or 15 teachers that are all coming together. Nice. Miguel is going to be with us. Go to our website at celebrateyourlife.com. Check it out. It's going to be so fantastic. If you've never been to how many of you have been to Celebrate Your Life? Anybody been to Celebrate Your Life here? You've been since 2004, Miguel. Yes. Everybody's loving it. We've got people traveling from all over the world to be with us at the event this year. Super thrilled to be able to do this again and to be able to have you with us. And the experiences that Celebrate Your Life, you never ever know what sacred aha moments you're going to have being live and in person. This is the first time Miguel's going to be talking about his latest book, Mastery of Life, in person and teaching a workshop. So make sure you come and join us. CelebrateYourLife.com. It's the end of October. So go make your reservations now. Go make your plans now, because you absolutely don't want to miss this event. And you can take a look at the whole lineup of speakers. We've got an amazing lineup of speakers that will be joining us. Come to Australia. That's very funny you should say that, Rosalie, because Lisa Williams is in Australia right now, and she sent me a text and said, we have to bring Celebrate Your Life to Australia.
That'd be fun.
Exactly. So get ready, Miguel. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having this conversation.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes. And thank you all so much for joining us. You guys have been great. You're active in the comments and sharing your stories and asking questions. It's just so beautiful to have this community. And imagine you're feeling so empowered right now here, online. Imagine what it's going to feel like at the event, live and in person. It is off the charts fabulous. Okay, everybody. Thank you. Mwah. So much love.
Thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful time and enjoy everything in life.
Yes.